Yeah, good morning, everyone. Thank you for making it to this once again. Um, last time we were here, last time we were here, we tried to start by setting up Defender, which we couldn't, um, just for some issues with Microsoft and token verification. So that has been sorted now. I have an environment set up. I know we had earlier agreed that we were going to set up maybe different environment for you to actually use, but later we felt like individuals should actually do that by themselves as we um, believe it helps your understanding of one. And secondly, also it requires us to fill our credit card on the platform, which may not be safe. We don't have a way of preventing you from signing up for some other subscriptions. Today we'll continue from where we left off. Shortly, see how I can hide this. Yeah, from where we left off. Okay. So back to the training material. The first part we're considering today. So back to the um, training material. The first part we'll be covering today is mitigating threats using Microsoft Defender XDR. And like we previously mentioned, we've already established that Defender XDR is a suite of many Defender products. We have Defender for Office 365, which looks at attacks and threats that have to do with mail phishing, attachments, unsafe link, and maybe some URLs that people also go to. We have Defender for Cloud, which looks at, we have Defender for Endpoint and Defender for Cloud, basically, which looks at users' behavior and also maybe also looking for malicious activity on users' endpoint and also maybe some of the sites that individual user is accessing. We have Defender for identity. We have Defender for cloud apps, and all of these different Defender products all work together, and all of the alerts that they generate or when they notice a security incident, the um, they all forward the incident into the Defender portal, which is what we have here. And to go to Defender profile, you just have to type in security.microsoft.com. Now, before we actually delve into the details of this course, I think it's important for us to know what we do as a stock analyst or security analyst and um, a threat responder, or whatever role you're playing within the stock. As a stock team, we are tasked with the goal of actually safeguarding the organization assets. And most time we find ourselves doing various jobs from having some soft skills that are required for us to perform well on our team to being proactive and reactive in incident response. By proactive means that the aim of us actually having visibility and having tools like Defender is for us to be able to quickly pick up alert and incidents before an organization is compromised. If you look at the timeline of attack, they said that most of the successful attack always happen within the first 48 hours of the first breach, or maybe the attacker gaining a foothold within their victim's environment. So basically, we really want to be proactive and not be reactive because if we're being reactive, the damage may have already been done. And there are instances also where attack may have evaded detection. When that is detected, also we have to be proactive in our reactiveness to such an incident. One of the things we also need to put our mind to as SOC analysts is for us to manage vulnerabilities, discover vulnerabilities that exist within our network, and also manage them just to ensure that they don't get to the point of being exploited. To have malware resilience and recovery, also to support maybe red team and purple team, and then the blue team as well. So basically, these are the core jobs of the stock analyst. And this is what we need to have at the back of our mind, even as we approach Microsoft Defender. So you can see here also that explore extended detection and response use cases. So basically, one of the things that the defender can, the XDR can do for us is that automated response when a compromise or when an incident is detected. And what is an incident? That is a confirmed occurrence of a threat within an environment. For instance, it is possible for us to have a situation where a user brings in a USB device that is infected with malware and plug it into an organization laptop. When that happens, one of the things that the defender for endpoint, for instance, can do in this scenario is first of all to raise an alert to the admin to say that something like this actually happened and to share the telemetry with Microsoft. So as an organization, you have the flexibility of deciding whether the alert gets resolved automatically or if you want to resolve it manually. In case of, I mean, these all of these are configurable. And in the case of the manual, in case of the manual detection, that means someone within your team will have to always have an eye on that and then be able to respond to every single incident or alert. And it is also possible to automate it in such a way that when something phishing happens, you can share that information directly with Microsoft, and Microsoft engineer can always act on the alert or the security incident that has been noticed within your environment. And also, as part of that, Microsoft may also quarantine, which is called self-healing. In self-healing, Microsoft and the defender can also quarantine the system that has been infected and prevent it from accessing the rest of the organization IT system or data, just to ensure that not until just to prevent the attacker being able to get hold of sensitive information or any other components of the network. And when the system has been completely cleaned, then the access to that system, I mean, to organization information can be restored. And one of the things that the defender does is actually use the incidents, the payload, and then the information that it has learned about the attacker to enrich all of other services that you have within Microsoft. And also Microsoft use that information also to improve the security of other customers. So yeah, like I mentioned, remediation can both be automated and it is also possible that those two security analysts approval first, or it can be manually investigated. But this is up to an organization. But in most cases, you want it to be automated because you have tons of alerts being generated. You'll see currently, if you look at here, there's currently no alert here because the environment is still new and the environment is still clean. I've not set up any, I mean, users have not been sending email or receiving email. And also, I mean, there are no system already connected to this Microsoft 365 tenant. And that's explain why this is clean. Immediately you begin we begin connecting systems and users, then we will see a lot of alerts actually coming up. So we see a lot of alerts coming up, and so what does I'm trying to give us a foundation first before we actually look to the defender, and then we have a workshop. If you look at the understand Microsoft Defender XDR in Security Operations Center, yeah, what it does and what it can help you with. For people-centric function focused on, modern security operation focus is people-centric, and it focused on quality, it focused on responsiveness, and it focused on rapid remediation. Like I mentioned earlier, within the first 48 hours of a successful of an attacker establishing a foothold, most attacks take less than 48 hours for them to go to the point of actually exfiltrating data and inflicting damage on an organization. So the focus of Microsoft Defender is actually to be as responsive as possible and also to have rapid remediation. And like I mentioned earlier, it's possible for you to actually have that automated even though as a security analyst, while you might be buried several other tasks, some of the things that Microsoft is able to do immediately, Microsoft is able to do that. And behind I've mentioned earlier the fact of the threat intelligence, alert therapy when an observed incident is noticed from any of the Defender components and released as alert within the Defender portal so that an analyst can see it. And also the fact that when an alert is raised, an incident is also raised. And when an incident is raised, it's possible for you to manually treat it, and it's also possible for you to automate the remediation using the SOAP components of Defender using the SOA components of Defender. And here you can see the security model, function and tools for, you can see the security model of a modern SOC team, of a modern SOC team or security operations center, which actually hints on automation. The Microsoft Defender use well-known attack to actually use its automation to build remediation through automation. And you see for a lot of issues, for a lot of organizations, you see that they have a high volume of incidents. And as much as possible, a lot of those will probably come from the XDR alert, and you have users also reporting or maybe other issues that have been raised through log events or other sources. And all of these are what is.
Hi, Alchemy. Sorry to butt in. Is it possible that you make your screen bigger?
Okay.
Yeah, you can use that. Yes.
Yeah.
Not full screen. Just increase the zoom.
Oh, the zoom.
Yeah, something like that. Yeah. Also, there's some feedback from where you are. So the voice is, like I mentioned, the voice is not quite as great as Saturday or yesterday. So I don't. I also got a feedback that there's an echo from your background.
Oh, okay. I'm not
So
in my house to start. So
okay.
that might be the issue.
All right, let's continue to let's manage the stuff. So before you also continue, one thing I also wanted to do, I know that you're still trying to lay the foundation, is to also get to understand that people have tried individually to set up their environment, because I guess that's what you will be digging deep on today. So if you have not set it up, again, it is not a problem, but it is something you need to do. so that you can follow the class. It's not a class you can memorize. It's a class you would have to at least
Follow.
move your mouse and follow and see what is being done. All right, Ayokumi, go ahead.
Um, so like I was like I was saying, so this is what is typical of a security operation model. Right. Okay. So automation, triaging of issues, investigation and incident management, then the hunt. When you identify that there is an issue, you don't want to stop at the point of knowing. You actually want to go and remediate or initiate a cyber kill chain, for instance, for you to actually find the root cause or the entities that are involved within the attack and then be able to eliminate them. So all of these things the defender can do for us. And like I mentioned, the defender cover quite a number of things and also has an API interface that you can also interact with if you need to. The Defender also interacts with other Microsoft platforms through the Graph API, just for your knowledge. And most of the information there, if you also need to call it out, you can also leverage the same Microsoft Graph to do that. Investigating security incidents in Microsoft Defender. Now, I think the best thing for us is actually to quickly have an overview of the the Defender portal and also get ourselves accustomed to it. I think that is very necessary.
Okay,
If
Ayokumi,
you go, yep,
Ayokumi, hold on. Let's try to get a sense from the people in the class. If they can drop it in the chat, let's find out how many people have set up their their environment. Unfortunately, we do not have, or Zoom doesn't have a place where it means where you can maybe do a screenshot. I just want to have a sense of what you have done from the last time we say you should set up your lab. Have you tried? And if you have tried, I just want to see, you know, just want to see or get a sense of what you can, what you have from your setup. Yesterday, I worked with two people to set up their environment, and I believe that they are fine, fully today. But and I've also gotten feedback that one or two people also have messaged me that they've done theirs. Can people confirm in the chat that they've tried? Because we need that process. You need to understand that process. It's actually one of the most important elements of this session. If you don't have the environment set up and they are going through this screen that you are seeing now, you are just going to be following, but you will not be able to replicate it. You'll be seeing it for the first time. But it is very important that you are not seeing this thing for the first time. All right, I have a feedback that, yeah, um, the environment is set up. I have one feedback first. So that I mean, if it is possible, because yesterday during that was a class, I had to follow another route to set up my own. I just, instead of using M365 subscription premium, I used basic and then I have to upgrade to subscription because it was now there was a lot of options, but I was able to go through follow that approach with two people and they were able to set up their lab. But it will be good to get an idea of okay, two people said they are done.
yeah, I
Um,
think the problem is actually with Microsoft validation. So I was also able to use my Nigerian live data to actually set up the environment I just showed. So it's a new environment I'm
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I know that you are currently in this space where you are. The assumption is that people have set up their environment. Now, how do one get to this point? If if for instance you set up your environment, how do you get to the point where you now have this interface that you're showing us?
So the first thing is signing up for Microsoft 365. Signing up for any of the Microsoft 365 license will give you access to Microsoft 365 tenants. But what we need to have is a license that covers Defender. So any Microsoft license um, that basically has enterprise mobility and security. It will be sufficient for us. We just need an E5, EMS E5, that's enterprise security and mobility. But people are able to sign up for Microsoft 365 E5. That includes enterprise mobility and security E5 by default. But for people who are not able to sign up for that, maybe based on the location where they are signing up from, they can always include Microsoft Enterprise Mobility and Security E5 as an add-on. So if you look at my case, what I have done is actually to sign up for Office 365 E3, and then I sign up for Enterprise Mobility plus Security E5. And
Akumi,
yeah,
I don't know whether you have multiple products on your own page that you sign up. Is it if there's none? My own is just it's just for this class actually. I've not signed up on many other things. Is it possible
I've
for you
not
to
signed up
show us
for
that product
that.
interface?
This
Your
is
pro
what I that is what I'm currently sharing on my screen. Or am I not sharing?
you are sharing, but what you are showing us is the Microsoft Defender page.
Oh no.
That's
Um,
what you are showing us.
okay, I think it was paused.
Yeah, this
So
is what I
yeah,
wanted
so
you to show so that people
yeah.
get here, they will
So
know what. So
I didn't know
the
it was
security,
paused. Okay,
yeah, that's it.
okay.
Then
Um,
sorry, last thing. Sorry for interrupting you, please. Is it?
yeah,
Can you make your screen? Can you zoom in so that it can be bigger? Yeah, something like that.
okay.
Yeah, if you can do
Okay.
that, it will be helpful. All right, I'll leave you now. Sorry for interrupting you.
No, it's okay. So for the licenses, I sign up first for Office 365 E3 because I could not sign up for Microsoft 365 E5 directly, and because E3 does not contain the full suite of Defender, I sign up again for Enterprise Mobility for Security E5. So these components need to be available in your tenant for you to be able to make use of full Defender. So after you sign up for Microsoft 365 tenant and you also sign up for this license, you can then head over to security.microsoft.com, and from here you'll be taken to the Defender. You'll be taken to the Defender portal. You'll be taken to Defender portal, and currently you see that it says 00, nothing needs attention, everything is healthy, no connection error. And at this age here, you have access to different information starting from incident and alert. I already established what incident is, what alert is, and also email and collaboration alerts. If your organization has deployed report message adding that allows individuals to be able to report maybe malicious emails from their inbox, you also have those information and those details directly from this thing. For you to do hunting, you already identify that there is an ongoing incident within your network, and you need to hunt or probably just write some query for you to be able to actually capture or gain more details into the nature of the attack. It's possible to do that here under advanced content. And under custom detection rule, this is where you can create a custom rule, basically to actually capture some of the attacks that you are seeing, probably somewhere else that you want to be able to detect if it's happening within your environment. Then you can use the custom detection rule. You have the action centers and then you have the submission. I mean, you have the action centers and submission where you can actually make a submission directly to Microsoft for them to do some analysis on your behalf. So if you have emails that you want to be analyzed, you can submit it from here. If you have team message to be analyzed, if you have email attachment, URLs to be analyzed, and user reported mails to be analyzed, all of those comes directly under the submission. And also for threat intelligence, one thing about security is a moving wheel, and the attackers are getting sophisticated every day. So you need some sort of intelligence for you to actually know the attack that is ongoing and how it relates to, or possibly maybe some vulnerabilities that is currently ongoing and how it affects you. And currently, you see here also that for threat intelligence, you have threat analytics, and this does not mean that you have anything going on in your environment. These are just some of the threats that Microsoft are seeing going on in the wild, and Microsoft gives you a full list of all of those. And if you have any alert or incident within your environment that relates to one of these threats, you will always have it here. You see that everything currently says 0. And if you have maybe someone impacted, maybe one of your assets, let's say your server, for instance, is affected by it, you can see the details of the assets affected or user affected in the impacted asset column. And you also have the report type, if it is a vulnerability that is being exploited, if it is an attack campaign, or if it is an activity group. So, and what the threat tag is, some of these vulnerability can actually, I mean, for instance, this particular vulnerability here, Kemi, do you want me to speak to someone? I mean, to something. I see that you are annotating.
Oh,
So
no,
if
this is
you
very
look
good.
at, sorry,
What's the problem?
no, she annotates. So I'm
Okay.
asking you if you want me to.
I guess that's probably a mistake. I continue.
Yeah. So we see that for this particular vulnerability, it always ends in ransomware. And you see that for this, for instance, it's also phishing. It is phishing. And in phishing, most times you are getting someone to either disclose information or to take an action that is damaging to themselves. You basically can link maybe the threats that are going on in the world, and see any of those threats based on maybe if you have an alert that relates to one of those threats using the MITRE attack framework. You can always relate it, and also you always know the end game from the threat tag. You can always see the end game those um those threats if you have them within your environment. You have a learning hub as well. Um, you have a learning hub. What the learning hub does for you is actually for you to be able to educate your users and also to actually simulate facts. Most times they always say that in security, users are the weakest link. I mean, human are the weakest link. So for users' education and also the attack simulation with people within your organization, you can always use the you can always use the learning hub. You can always use the learning hub. Also, you can also see currently some of the other security vendors that Microsoft work with. So if you have any of these other security solutions, you can inject data into them, and you can also fetch data from them to actually enrich the information that you have within the and also the overall effectiveness of Microsoft Defender. One thing we need to know is that the more of the information and different events and logs of that Microsoft Defender have access to, the more information and the more profiling it can do, and then the better, and also the better. I mean, it's also get better and more efficient. Uh, excuse me, sorry. So it's also get better and more efficient when it have more information. So it is important that in actually using Defender, you ensure that where you need to download sensor or plug information, for instance, if you have servers that you need to monitor, if you have maybe it's even your end user's laptop that you need to monitor, you need to ensure that all of those devices are enrolled into Defender for them to all of them are enrolled into Defender for the Defender to be able to capture information directly from them, but we'll get to the enrollment of each of the Defender technology very short. And also here in exposure management, if you have an attack, ongoing attack, and this is currently because I registered the organization as CSMG one. Currently, you have the whole organization, and you see that it has zero devices. You see that it has zero assets, identities. I've not created any user, and also you see that it doesn't have any cloud service as well. But as you begin to create more devices or even set up servers and also users, and possibly also use cloud services, and the Defender can track your users using cloud services, it begins to populate and actually give you a good view of your security landscape. And they always say that to actually start a good security, you must start from the point of knowing your assets. And basically, what this did for you is actually helping you to actually capture all of your assets from all of your devices, be it servers or endpoint devices, to all of your users, being it service account or whatever account it is, and wherever it is, whether it is on Active Directory or in the cloud, capturing all of those and capturing all of your cloud services as well. For people who are using maybe cloud solution, for instance, we are currently on Zoom. If the Zoom is used within the enterprise and accessed by your users from one of the devices that are monitored, it captures all of those cloud services to give you a broader view of whatever entry points that an attack may actually take into your organization. And one of the things is it's also able to actually map out attack paths for you. If you have some critical assets that you have defined and you define your critical assets, basically, if there is any attack path or maybe any weakness in the security configuration of those assets, Microsoft Defender can always look at the vulnerabilities on this asset and maybe the threats associated with some of those vulnerabilities, and then be able to actually map out for you critical attack paths. And like I said earlier, you can see here Defender for Endpoint, which is more of the security tool. I mean, the client, the security agent that has to be installed on the devices. And you see the Defender for Identity, which actually looks for your identity in Azure and for people that have on-premise Active Directory as well. Also looking for vulnerabilities and also human behavioral analytics from the your users and how they are using their identity. You can see the Defender for vulnerability management, which actually evaluates the vulnerability on the systems, and also the Defender for cloud. When all of these are configured and you have your critical assets defined, it's also possible for Defender to actually map out an attack part for you, and it gives you clear insight into where there can be potential weakness within your organization and how you can actually where there are potential weakness within your organization and how you can actually prevent maybe exploitation of those weaknesses, basically how you can improve on them or probably also take away all of those weaknesses altogether. And you have exposure insight. Exposure insight is more like what you have within the attack part, which actually shows you the different places where you have weaknesses. For exposure insight, this one just gives you an initiative, some of the benchmarks and what you should be doing to actually secure different things. For instance, a lot of times you see people impersonating some other, maybe the people impersonating other users or taking over some users' account information and using the trust using the inherent or let's just say standing trust that people already have for the users whose account will be impersonated. It's possible for an attacker to actually initiate what is known as a business email compromise. And you can see the details basically. So for some of these initiatives that are common, if you click on them, Microsoft Defender actually gives you more of the things that you need to do, basically for you to be able to actually implement control that tackles each of these different attacks. You see, for you, financial fraud is always the result of business email component. And you see the different components or the workload of the defender that you need to configure to ensure that you prevent this. You also have CIS M365 Foundation benchmark. Like I said earlier, the work of a security operation analyst is not just to look for issues after they have happened, it's actually to prevent. And it's to first prevent, being proactive, and if after your proactiveness and after putting all of the necessary control in place, you still have some, let's just say, some threats still slip through still find their way into your environment. You can deal with them. But one Microsoft has done is actually to give you some of the starting points where you can start from to ensure that you actually prevent issues from happening and then fire not doing the firefighting. And also to mention that it's not necessary that all of these initiatives would apply to your organization. It doesn't necessarily apply. For instance, if you don't have any IoT device in your organization, so the IoT device security may not necessarily be for you, and you may also not need to configure Defender for IoT. But for external attack surface, I think it is something that I believe to be common to every organization. Identity security is going to be common to every organization. Protecting yourself from ransomware is going to be common to every organization. And you can also see that the major reason why what's it called always happen, ransomware will happen is usually largely because of misconfiguration. So basically, you can have all of these recommendations and just apply them. You also have metrics, basically, and currently for me, because this environment is also new, you see that there are so many metrics that Microsoft has already begun to try for me. If, for instance, I'm working in an organization as a SOC analyst, and I actually want to see how well we've been doing in terms of the security we've done and what we can do. For instance, if I come to metrics, I can see metrics and what is missing. And currently in the security recommendation, I see that designate more than one global admin. Now, the essence of designating more than one global admin is to ensure that I just created this account and I have just two users on the platform. The first is my account, who is the domain admin, the global admin. and the second one is this user. Now, if this is an organization, God forbid, if the only person that has the global admin should die, for instance, how then do you actually want to continue managing or maintain the control of your environment? I think it can be very, very difficult to maintain. And that is the reason why Microsoft has actually that is the reason why Microsoft will recommend that you have more than two global admin. It's also not recommended, which you probably see somewhere else, that someone has a standing access to global admin. It should really be like a green glass account that you keep somewhere. For people that have access to global admin, they should also use it. It shouldn't be a standing privilege because it can also be abused. It should be a right that they can enable only when they need to make use of that right, just to ensure that their privilege also is not abused. Yep. So we see what the recommendations are. Yeah, we see different recommendations that Microsoft has given here. You see also for people who have domain controller I mean in their if your environment is an hybrid environment where you have Azure AD and also on-premise AD, you see the recommendation from Microsoft to say that you need to disable print spooler service on domain controller and which is a recommendation for you to improve security. You see to enable Microsoft ID, identity protection, user rights policy. One of the things that the user rights policy can do, One of the things that the user rights policy can do is actually to track the users when they have some behavior that is that constitutes or that suggests maybe a chance of for the organization. I mean, that suggests maybe something suspicious about the user. I think I made mention on Thursday about the time travel. That's one of the things that Microsoft track. I'm not able to log into this portal currently because I need an Entra license. So I'm just going to sign up for that quickly so that I can, okay, maybe while we take the break, I'll quickly do that. So for the Entra license, it actually allow you to, Microsoft licensing is modular. And basically for Defender, I said we need EMS 365, but we don't probably have an Entra ID feature. And that is the reason why I cannot get to this place. So I will need to sign up for Entra ID feature or possibly Entra suite, and that should grant me access to this interface that I currently and log into that I currently can log into. Yeah, so like I was saying, things like user risk policy, for instance, if turned on, can actually help you to look for issues around users' behavior within the cloud and as they are authenticating. And you can also use that to actually profile a user. For instance, I'm in the UK 1 minute and I log in, and under 10 minutes, you see another authentication coming from me from South Africa. It is not feasible and humanly possible for me to actually leave UK and be in South Africa within an hour or two. So when Microsoft established maybe pattern of time travel that are not realistic, they flag the user as being a risky user. And one of the things that you can use that information quickly to do, maybe for you to actually initiate things like challenge the user for MFA immediately. If they're able to do MFA verification, that can be one thing. Another thing you can do immediately is put that something like that is to ensure that they're actually logging in from the organization device. If they are logging in from somewhere else, you want to deny them access the until someone within the security team has actually spoken to them and sure that they are who they are and their account has not been taken over. And also when all of these policies that you configured in different places, when there are flags on them, what Microsoft does is also to present all of those information directly in the portal, like I mean under alert and incidents, like I mentioned it earlier. And also you have different events that can be in addition to the security recommendations, you also have events. Hmm. You also have events which actually just shows the different events that you responded to or the admin action. And here you have the um, secure score, which actually helps you gauge how well you secured your enclave against the best practice. There are some quick wins that you can do in terms of how users are managed within the Microsoft 365 and also the entirety of Azure, and this can quickly actually help you in ensuring that you are improving your security and you have a metric you can track yourself. If you look at it currently, because this environment is stack, I have zero percent for identity. App security has 36.6%, maybe because of the effort by Microsoft by default. So your organization, you really want to also put eye on some of these metrics, exposure insight, attack surface, secure spots to actually see where what you may be currently be doing wrong and to quickly improve on it, which is the first step to security and not just waiting for alert to pick. And also here under identity, you can see service accounts. Basically, if you have an account within your Active Directory, that is a GMSC or MSC, managed service account or good managed service account, you have their information also up there. And one thing that is always an issue for security admin is actually the is always the visibility into what secure service account is doing and when it is used and when how to spot what is abnormal with those service accounts. So basically, here you can also, if you, I mean, it's if you are using Active Directory, it's able to detect service account for you, and also you have all of your domain and other critical information populated. You can see details such as when last account was uh, when last the account was used, the authentication source, and those other details, metrics that you can actually use to see gain visibility and insight into the service account, what the account is doing, and it also help you actually raise any suspicion. Maybe for instance, when you see the authentication protocol for a service account that is supposed to be running a workload, when you see it using a file share, which is an SMB or making RDP connections, you may really quickly want to look at it and ensure of what it is doing. And also, you have the health issues and different things. But I know that what we're interested in, this is how to navigate the path. How do we do the configuration? I think I'm just going to pause here first, and then when we come back, I will walk us through the configuration, which is here in the settings portal. So Wally, I think I would like
All
to
right.
take maybe like 10 minutes
Welcome.
break. Yep. And
Yeah,
then when we
thank
come
you.
back, do
Thank
the
you.
settings.
Maybe a few things just to also mention. Is it possible, Ayokumi, on the left-hand side, can you collapse each of those those arrow, not arrow, those greater than that is upside down,
Yeah.
so that we can see in summary all of the key elements that are on the menu on the left-hand side. So for instance, under cloud apps, the arrow is pointing up. I believe that if you click on it, it will collapse what is in under that place.
Yep.
Also, if you can make your screen bigger a little.
Sorry, just a moment. I want to collapse everything first. Yeah. Okay.
Your screen is not moving.
It should. Oh,
We
screen
can,
sharing. Oh,
what we can, yeah, so yes, we can see now. What I'm asking is, can you collapse the
I
incident?
have
No,
done.
no, you have reduced it again. As in your screen, I wanted it to be, yeah, so that people can see. Okay, so we have incident, alert, hunting, action, threats. Then we have
Everything.
partner log, exposure, asset, identities. Please scroll down. And okay, those are the key elements. I think you have gone through each of them.
Yeah.
Okay, you have gone through each of them. But
Yes.
so the other thing I want to ask is,
Yeah.
so
Sorry. Before you move on, I'm going to drop this link on the chat. What Microsoft also have done is actually they've developed an interactive guide
okay,
for Microsoft Defender portal. So
okay,
if anybody goes to this portal, for instance, able to see what what the you are able to see the different components of what I'm showing you.
okay,
I
this
think
is good.
this is from an earlier version of Defender. You see that if you look at this side, it has a different component than what I was showing earlier.
Yeah,
But if you look in terms of incidents and how to approach incidents, all of these details are the same. So at the next meeting on Thursday, I would already have connected so many things to generate a lot of alerts. But people can always play with this actually to actually see what the process is. If you have an alert, if you have an incident, how do you navigate it? How do you get details? How do you find the people involved in the impacted resources? Like here now, you see that three devices are affected, five users are impacted, and one mailbox is involved. And this having this overview actually help you to narrow down your recovery exercise, or let's just say remediation, where you need to go, the users you need to work with, the mailbox you need to purge, and also the devices that need to be quarantined and cleaned. So basically, so this interaction would be very, very good to actually guide
okay,
you.
okay. Thanks.
Then,
I know we want to go on a short break. Before we go, one of the persons I assisted yesterday, we got to an environment. So I have not done anything but to help set up the place. I've not even assigned license. So if the person has the opportunity to even share a screen, what you'll be seeing is zero license. I would
okay,
want I would want when we come back for maybe in the next 5 or 10 minutes, you can you can explain that process of even creating a
license.
user and assigning a license so that because right now the defender page of the person is blank. So he was asking me,
Okay.
I said, let's come to the class. I hope me will be able to use that opportunity to even explain to every other person. All right, we can take how many minutes should we take?
Okay.
How many minutes?
I think they can stay, maybe they can come back by um 9, let's say 9:12, 9:15. I'll
Nine
let you
twelve.
decide.
Okay, 9:12.
Okay.
That's in 5 minutes. So let's take biological body break. Sorry, let's take some break and we'll come back in another 5 minutes. Thank you.
Yeah, please confirm. Only please confirm you can see my
Yes, I can. Then you can, like I said, if you can make it bigger a little, yes. Sorry, you have to be turning
screen.
zoom in,
Yeah,
but
I actually just have one screen to do. Like I said, I'm not.
all right.
Um, okay. So I think before we left off for the break, Wale was asking question as to how do we, as individual, how do we get started with creating users, ensuring that we have appropriate as license are trying to use them. and also ensuring that we have appropriate license in first instance. I think I'll start from license. If you want to get additional license, all you need to subscribe to for maybe the enterprise mobility and security license. After you have signed up for office, you have to go into the market, and from the marketplace, you can click on all products. So if you click on all products, you have an option of filter towards this end here. And basically, you can search for enterprise mobility. You can search for enterprise mobility. I'm zooming in my screen so that I can see. Do not again. Yeah. So, and if you scroll down, you should be able to see enterprise mobility. For me, I can see here enterprise mobility plus security E5, which is what is of interest. I have already signed up for this. But I also know while I was trying to show you about attack travel time earlier, I couldn't show you because I needed Entra security ID. So I'm just going to sign up for Entra Suite and just using this method. And I think last week I actually showed how this is done on okay, it was this week actually on Thursday. I showed how this should be done and how you can extend your license basically. So I have the interest with here. Trial is available. Trial is what I'm interested in. I'm not ready to pay for it. And from the drop down, I can select any one of them. But I'm going to select just entrance to trial. And I have the option of paying monthly. I always love to leave it 1 month just in case I forget to cancel the billing. I don't want any surprise bill on my card. So I'm just going to click next, and this procedure is the same, regardless of um, any trial you are doing. I don't want this to renew to paid subscription. I just want it to end um, by 11th. I can leave it, extend, and also change it later to end on those days in that date. But I think I have done that. Now, if I click on license, the license I just subscribed to should also be visible here. So I'm just going to refresh. It says some licensing information is currently not available. So I'm going to click on my product. I have clicked on my product and just waiting for the page to load up. Taking some time. I wasn't expecting it to take this long. Okay, so now you can see that this is the license that I just signed up for. Almost everything here is actually new. This entrance suite overrides this full version that I have initially. Now, if I need to assign the license that I've just that I've just added, I can click on the license and you see here assign license. So basically, I can click on assign license, and from here, um, assign license, I can search for people and assign license to their names by just immediately I click on this, enter a name or email. It gives me a list of people that I have in the within this tenant that are created in this tenant. If the name does not show, when you begin to type the name, it should show up. You can select it and then you can click assign. And basically, I've just assigned it. Another way to assign is to go to the user. If I go to the user component of Entra and I click on active users, I have the option here to add user. I can click on add user, and that asks me for the user first name. I've created test user one. I'm just going to create test user two. And anything that you want, you can put it as a name. I just love to keep it consistent. Test user two. Um, I don't want to change the password after this, and I'm just going to click next. You see here also that it's asking me to assign license to this user. I'm just going to assign all of the three licenses I have to the user. But if you are interested in assigning just one license, you can do that. You click next, and then you can finish adding. When you finish adding, it gives you your user account name, just so you don't forget. And you can also see the password as well, which is currently hidden just for security. But if you need to copy it, and always click on show, and then that should show the password. But I don't want to show the password directly on this. I don't want to show the password here. Um, sorry? Yeah, sorry for that. Yeah, so that is it. That is how to create users and how to basically license the user. I don't know if there's any question there before I move forward. Any question before I move forward?
Ayokumi, there's a question in the chat.
Okay.
It's, it said
I don't
you can read the question and then we help.
um is it Babatunde that mentioned that he signed up for developer environment on Thursday?
I am not sure. I'm not
Yeah,
sure.
if you sign up for developer environment on Thursday, I mean, if it is developer environment you're using, you may not see that option. And that is one of the reasons why I mentioned that just sign up for one of Microsoft's products, uh, but not developer, just so that your tenant is as real and close to real life as possible. Probably you can unmute and ask your question.
Yeah, good morning.
Yeah, honey.
Yeah, I signed up for Office 365 E5, trials account, and that's what I'm currently using. But in the interface, when I finish the setting up, I do not have such what's it called options in terms of I'm just even trying to navigate through the
You
admin.
don't have marketplace. If you click on your
Where?
if you don't have the option of marketplace, if you don't have the option of marketplace, okay, you said you don't have the option of the marketplace.
Yeah.
Are you on admin.microsoft.com?
No, I'm not on admin. I'm not on admin. Okay, so I need to be on that
Yeah, you need
space.
to be on it admin.microsoft.com. And that's
Okay.
where you, I suppose you may be in Entra, which is similar to it, but the only place you can buy license from is the admin portal.
Oh, so do I need to
From
buy all
this
those
admin,
licenses too?
you don't need to buy it. You can just sign up for their trial.
Okay, all right, okay.
Yeah, I'll just drop the link in the chat for you as well.
Okay, all right.
Okay,
Thank
so back to the Defender portal. we're about showing how to do the configuration earlier before remove the.
Ayokumi, your screen is not shared.
My screen is not sharing. Oh, okay. Let me know when you can see it.
Yes, I can see it now.
Okay.
So, Ayokumi,
Yes.
I think you've shown us how to assign license to users, right?
Yes. I just finished doing that.
How does that user now access this environment? You know, you already have this environment before you showed us how to access how to assign user. How will that user that you have created, which is is it test 2 or so? How will that user have this environment?
Yeah. The test two. Okay. For the
Maybe
test
you
two
need to
users.
sign out of test 1.
Okay. So first of all, are the list of users that I have in this environment. These users can use email, they can use Teams and all of those, but they don't have access to use any of the security. Any of the security portal or the admin portal for Entra because they don't have any privilege role. Or if you need if you need someone in security operation and that person needs to be able to access Defender, the person will need to be assigned a role that allowed them to be able to do that. So first, if I click on the user that I just created, which is this test user 2, and I scroll down here, you see under here, under their account, you can see roles, and you can see manage roles. And once I click on manage roles, you see that users does not currently have any admin center access. But if I want to give them admin center access, I can click on this and I can give them the appropriate one. So the one that show all category, the one that relates to what we're trying to do currently is security. And what we need is a security administrator. Basically, you see under security and compliance, you have different rules. If I assign security administrator and save, then that user is able to that user is able to log on to into the environment that I have created because of the role that I have assigned. I am using Tor browser for work current, and I'm just going to sign out T1, or I can just say sign in using a different account. And this is currently logging into email, but maybe I should actually go to security.
Sorry, Ayokumi, as you
Yeah,
are doing that, sorry. I know you say you're not home, but the background noise is more than before.
the
I don't know
background
whether, yeah, if it's possible for you to, you know,
move.
move away a little. But
Yeah.
we're managing and we're sorry to inconvenience you this morning. So whatever you can
So
do, thank you.
I will not be able to. So I think the other call will.
No problem, just continue. Continue.
Yeah. Okay. So we created this user. I'm not sure I picked the password back then. So if like me, you didn't pick the password, you can always do a reset. I'm just automatically creating a password, but I'm just going to copy this password there. And if I go to your browser, um, always allow. So I'm opening the Microsoft Defender portal in Tor browser. And if you ask me for my username and password, Now I have signed in and have this minimal interface because it's logged in with the first user I created. So I have to switch that. I just signed out and I'm going to type the URL again, security.microsoft.com. Okay, so I'm signing in with another user. This is test user 2 at csmg1.microsoft.com. And it's asking me for the password. I'm putting password. It's because this is a test tenant, it doesn't have anything to do with production. That is the reason why currently it's not asking for MFE. Best practice is for you to request for MFE. Now I've logged on with the account that we just created now, which is test user 2. And you can see that I have access to the Defender portal and all of the other things that I could see under my previous account also are accessible from here up until doing a configuration and all. Everything is accessible for me. We're allowed to carry on from the I'd love to carry on using Firefox. So back into the Defender portal, if I click on settings, and this is where most configuration is done, you can see the Defender, Microsoft Defender portal. You can see Microsoft Defender SPR. You can see email and collaboration. You can see identity. You can see cloud app. You can see Microsoft Sentinel. By default, I have access to Microsoft Defender portal and Microsoft Defender XDR, but I don't have access to some other components of Defender which doesn't bundle with uh which doesn't bundle with EMS E5. But to start with, let's start with the configuration of Microsoft Defender for Portal. And you see here that the only thing that we're allowed to actually do here is actually just for us to select time zone. So if you want your time zone to be in UTC, you can select it in UTC. And if you want it to be in your and this will be the case for organizations who have users across different countries. You may want it to be in UTC so that it's easier for you to correlate the event timeline. But for people who are presently in just one country, you may want to set it to your local country, and this time here will refer to the that to the country that you have set when setting up the tenant. You see Defender XDR. This has more granular configuration. One of the things is about the account and the session details, which you don't have more to do around. For email notification, here you can add error loading incidents to let me try to refresh. And just to say, I noticed that if you sign up for Defender, a lot of things get provision. I'll say if you are signing up for it and using it in your organization, that you probably just wait like 24 hours after you have signed up for it before you start using it. You have a lot of things being provisioned back in. And you see that initially when I came here, I got I got an error immediately I came to this page, but now I'm able to do this. Now, what this does for us, remember that this is the XDR. So for the XDR, we're able to add incident, a policy, and a notification rule. So if, for instance, when a new alert or notification is created, who are the team that I want to notify? It's not possible that someone from the SOC team or all of the SOC team will sit 24/7 on the alert. I mean, maybe the action, the alert page, or maybe the incident page and the event. So you really want to notify it maybe via email when a new alert or a new incident has been logged. So basically, you can call this anything. If I just want it to be a default notification rule, I can just call it a default notification rule. And following on with this, I'm able to actually um, send, if I want to send it per one notification per incident, if I want to send organization details, maybe for people who are doing managed service. By managed service, I mean that they've been employed by, they are working as an independent company, they're working for other clients or maybe other companies to manage their security posture. If that is the case, you may also want to include the organization name in the email so that if you have more than one organization that you are working for, because the email alert is going to be similar, you can always differentiate which organization that alert is coming from. If you want to include specific tenant name, so that if you click any link within the email as well, it takes you directly to the respective tenant link. I think you can do that as well. And also you can list all the sources that you want to be notified from. So basically, I just want to click everything under Defender. If you are doing app governance as well and you want to be notified as well, that is also good. And for severity, what kind of information do you want to get? I don't want to bother myself with informational. Informational is just something that happens, but it's really of no consequence. It doesn't have any risk associated with it. If that is the case, I'm going to, I mean, I don't need to get notified of information, but I need to get notified of low, I need to get notified of medium, I need to get notified of high. And that is why I'm selecting the three. And after doing that, I can click on it. Here I can put the email. If for instance you work in a stock team and then you have maybe a mail group for all of you, you can put the email group of your team here. Let's just say I put, I mean, this is fictitious. Um, let's just say the email group for my team is just um this IT support, or let's just say IT security at myself. Yeah, IT security at myself.com, and I can add, if I have more email groups that I want to be notified as well, I can add them here. I can add other email address here as well and add them here, and I can send tests. If I want to send tests, it will go because we can't verify, but I know that it's not going to be. So basically, once I have put all of the email, I can click on next and I can click on submit, and I am done. So this default rule notification will ensure that anytime a new incident or alert is raised within the Defender portal, my team is notified so that it can be assigned to someone, and someone can pick it up as well. And also, if you have a ticketing system, it's also possible to connect it to your ticketing system. A lot of the ticketing system will receive email notification to initiate a ticket. And there also you can put whatever email address that your organization used to initiate a ticket creation on your ticketing system. Here also you have things like a preview feature. When Microsoft is always changing things, and I think that is evident when I was showing you the interactive simulation portal earlier, and you can see how different it is from the portal I am currently working from. So here, if you turn on the preview feature, it make sure that any new functionality that Microsoft is releasing, that you also have access to it. Basically, yes. So turning on this review feature gives you quick entry into Defender and its functionality. You have the alert service, which you can turn on alert service for to show only alerts about no malicious or highly suspicious activity that might require attention. For some people, they only want to be notified when an alert occur, and the alert is high risk. And just to mention, email notification we created here earlier is for incidents, and the alert service setting is for alert. And I already mentioned that an occurrence, any occurrence that is suspicious, is what you have as an alert. And most time you have one alert is enough to actually create an incident. But if you have related occurrence or alerts occurring together that form part of a single incident, all of them are bundled into one single incident. So sometimes people may just to tone down what they get. A lot of people want to limit what the number of alerts that they get, just to ensure that they don't get overwhelmed by it. And that's why this high impact alert only is set by default. Also, it's possible to manage permission here for users, but I think it's always necessary for me personally. I always prefer to manage it from within Entra because it allows you more flexibility, and it allows you also to actually use controls like keyless access management. For streaming API, I did mention earlier that it's possible for you to actually export event, I mean, to export event directly from Microsoft 365 Defender, and also to import into it. If you have another data source you would like to export event sources into, you can always put the details here. If it's maybe Azure storage or maybe for event hub, you can always do that. And you can also select the details of what you want to export. If it is just alert information alone, or both alert information and alert evidence. You also have the option of defining, you also have the option of defining asset rule. If you have, we currently don't have any assets to basically, but you can just test assets. So how I can create a new rules, and I can add different filter. You see here, I can put the device name. If I want to create a rule for some particular system, I can create a device name. I can use an or select an operator. Maybe if I have some systems that are of interest, let's just say um, it's possible for organizations to have some systems that are not assigned to maybe anybody, and they may want to just monitor those systems more closely. Let's just say all of those kiosk systems that they have at the front desk that any front desk agent can go into and sign into, and then you have a pattern of naming with them. You can say that I am interested, I'm creating this rule to capture all the systems whose name is starting with not any, let's just say FSD, for instance, span. So basically, this should match this rule to match any device starting with FDH. And if I have maybe some other filter that I want to include, maybe some of them have obsolete OS, and I said operating system equals, and basically you can see the different versions. Let's say I'm interested in Windows 10, I can do this and I can click this. And if I want to create a tag for it, um, uh, let's just say FSG monitor. That's what I have just called it. It can be called anything. I can create it basically. So what this one will do is I've created a rule, and the rule will do an inventory of all systems that actually match that particular system. For several analysis, I want to do that. Sorry, I think my system is okay. So if you've onboarded your asset as well, you can create a critical asset. You can select some of those assets and create them as critical. By default, if you have any application or any system within your environment that match one of these categories, they are automatically marked as critical. And by critical, it means that EXSI is a virtualization host for servers. And for people that have EXSI, for people that have EXSI, um, for people that have EXSI, basically they are running workload. Hyper-V is also, these are servers that are usually of interest to the organizations, and the organization want to monitor them exclusively. And you also have some accounts, maybe users accounts that if they belong to any of maybe domain admin workstation, or maybe administrator group, accounts operator group, they also signal them to actually be high privilege and critical asset as well. Critical asset doesn't have to be servers alone. It can also be users identity, and that's why you have both users and what's it called it. So if you have within your organization maybe some assets that are critical but does not meet any of the defined classification, you can also create a new classification, and you can put the filter details or even select what we have defined earlier, and then be able to create um, and then you might be able to create a new classification. Earlier also we did mention that it's possible for us to do automated response, and it is also possible for us to actually have manual response. I think this is still not really ready. Okay, so I think this is not fully ready, but the identity automated response here basically just help us say that for these particular users, if anything happens, I want the account to be automatically remediated. And if you don't want the account to be automatically remediated, maybe you have an honeypot and you have an account associated with that that you want to be excluded from all actions, you can always list the name here and exclude that. And that is for Defender for XDR. This one is for setting up email notification to help your users. This one is for setting up email notification to get your users to actually report email phishing. And you have identity as well for setting up different identity, especially for people that have hybrid environment where you need to monitor your Active Directory and all of the users' activity within your Active Directory. This is also ongoing because I came to this pain for the first time. So it's also setting up, I have to navigate away. The same thing for cloud application as well. For cloud application helps you actually do a lot of things, protect your users as they browse. And when anything malicious happens, and then be able to actually take action. So basically, you have a lot of configuration options here as well, but I think we're short for time. So I'll probably just stop here. We can take this in on Thursday and also have hands-on in setting up devices, and maybe yeah, we've already done creating users and licensing them. So I encourage that you do that ahead of in your various environments ahead of Thursday. And on Thursday we can cover cloud app and defender for endpoints, and then we'll be able to try and some trigger some, I mean, do some things that to trigger alerts and incidents, and then we'll try to walk ourselves through how to pick up alerts and close, how to pick up incidents and resolve as well. Wally, I'll stop here for you.
Okay,
Over.
thanks, Mayokomi. I think in summary today, what I think we have done is you've been able to, at least for people who were able to set up the environment, you've given us an overview of the entire environment of Defender, and then you have gone ahead to now show us how to assign license and go through SDR, looking at line by line on what you can do with XDR. Yeah, this covers the summary of what we have done today, right?
Yeah.
All right. I'm guessing some people may have challenges in terms of setting up environment, and I can see that some people have also said that they are joining for the first time. If you joined for the first time, you're quite lucky, because after this session today, we would not want anybody to draw us back. So I'm going to share my screen shortly. I've created a group. I will stop recording so that we can have that conversation before we call it a day.